Oh, Ma, you gotta stop. You gotta stop with this black poison cloud all the time, because I can't take it anymore.
How are you feeling now?
Good. The Sopranos, one of the most iconic and greatest shows ever made. I've always wanted to talk about this show on my channel. I reviewed Many Saints of New York a few months ago, and it got me thinking, maybe I should watch this show again. I'm not gonna lie, a week or so ago, I got pretty drunk and watched Goodfellas, and it got me in a mob mood. So I decided to rewatch The Sopranos, and before I get into it, I'm going to talk about season 1. It's going to be full of spoilers. You have been warned. This is also great timing that I'm filming this today because this is the 23rd anniversary of the premiere of the series. And like I said before, this is one of the greatest shows ever made. I think overall, as shows go, this is probably my second favorite series of all time, right behind Breaking Bad. But I've only seen the show once, back when I was in college. I've never rewatched it, and this is my first time rewatching it, and after getting through season 1, I can already tell this is going to be a show I'm going to appreciate way more after rewatching. A show I can compare this to is like Game of Thrones, minus the ending, but with Game of Thrones, I remember first watching it, really enjoying it, and then rewatching it up until season 8, I loved it a lot more. This is because in both shows, there are a lot of names, there's a lot of families, there's a lot of things that go over your head, but rewatching, you hear a name, you understand who that person is, or you hear about something that's going on, you remember what that thing is, and it makes the story make a lot more sense, which made this rewatch of season 1 so much fun. I remember first watching the show, there are some times where I was a little lost or a little bored because there were so many names and information they're throwing at you. But now knowing everything, I was never bored in the season. Maybe a few moments, but overall, 99% of the season, I was fully invested and fully engaged. And that is because this is one of the best written series of all time. It's the type of writing that I get jealous. I can never imagine writing something this good. There's just so much going on, which could be an issue. But they understand the characters, they understand the plot, they understand the situations that these characters are in, and they mold everything together perfectly to where the point it builds on each other to where we have this great finale and great story moving forward. But the best part about the writing in the show are the characters. They're so well recognized. They all got these different personalities, these things going on with them that make each scene so riveting and so much fun to watch when these characters interact. James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano is one of the most iconic roles ever, movie or series. He absolutely crushes it. This is one of the best performances I've ever seen. And I don't think he won any awards for this season, but moving forward, he won a bunch after that, and rightfully so. He plays this perfect liar, kind of like Walter White, but they play it in different ways. Walter White will lie all the time, but when he's caught up in a lie, he kind of like pleads, but he's still lying. But he's never angry with Skyler or anyone else. He's just still lying to them until they'll believe him. Tony Soprano, when he's lying to his wife or he's lying to anyone, he'll basically just yell in their face and be like, if you don't fucking believe me, I'm just going to fucking kill you. And he plays it so well. It makes the characters so interesting and just a lot of fun to watch, even though it's not someone you're supposed to look up to, but it's just great television. The main part of the show is Tony's having these panic attacks, he's passing out, so he has to go see a psychiatrist, which is a big no-no in the mob world. And that's when we're introduced to Dr. Jennifer Milfy. And I recognized her from Goodfellas. I'm like, that is so funny because they play completely different roles in the film and the series. But this becomes one of the more interesting parts of the show, is Tony talking to the psychiatrist. And we learn more and more about Tony through that, obviously. We learn that the mob life is really stressing him out, but also he's having trouble balancing the family life with that as well. And he's scared he's going to lose his family with the duck metaphor and everything like that. And then that brings to the picture his relationship with his mother, with his wife, and that's really the heart of the show, is his relationship with his family and how it affects how he reacts to certain things with his personal life and within the mob. And this is what makes the show so fucking good. And he has his issues with his mother, and his mother is one of the more hateable people in the history of television. She is just god awful, but she is so much fun to watch. She plays everyone so well. She understands what gets under people's skin, specifically Uncle Junior. And she eventually makes a scheme to have Tony eventually killed, which is like the worst thing you could do as a mother. But all of that worked so well in this season that it didn't come off as unbelievable when Uncle Junior does try to kill Tony. And that has to do with how well you recognize these characters. I mean, Uncle Junior doesn't like to be humiliated. He doesn't like people to think that he's not in charge. He hates when people do things behind his back. So Tony's mother planted that seed perfectly. And eventually, Tony was going to get whacked because he put his mother in a nursing home. It's those personalities that really make this show so interesting. And when the big things happen, have actual payoff and make a lot more sense. And like I said just now, emotional payoff as well. Christopher Moltisanti is one of my favorite characters in the show as well. He isn't in it as much as I remembered in season 1. He's still in it a lot, but he's definitely in the show a lot more in other seasons. But I think how they introduce him and the rest of the crew and all these other characters is just done so brilliantly. This is one of the best first seasons of television I've ever seen. I mean, it's shot beautifully, it's paced perfectly, the characters are fantastic, the writing is outstanding. I guess the only gripe I have is there's one subplot that I think is just really boring. I get it's developing some characters, but anytime Carmela and the priest were hanging out, anything to do with the priest, anything to do with that creep was just not that interesting. It was, even on rewatch, it still was boring. I remember when I first watched it, it was kind of boring, but I get, like, the meanings behind a lot of it. I get how it develops some of these other characters. I understand all that, but sometimes I wish he was in it a little bit less. There are some times where I think he's in it too much. We get the point. We get why he's there. We get what he's doing. And I think they could have shaved a little bit of screen time off of him and then shown more of the other stuff that's going on that's definitely a lot more interesting. But like I said before, this is one of the best first seasons of television I've ever seen. It is definitely a lot better on rewatch, and I'm so excited to see how I feel about later seasons. I'm going to give season 1 of The Sopranos 9.5 Davy Daves. There's definitely more I could talk about this season, but I feel like the things I want to talk about are definitely going to be brought up more in later seasons, and I don't want this video to be too long as well. It's just such an impressive show. And with a rewatch, it made me appreciate it a lot more. And I didn't think that was possible. So, The Sopranos Season 1. Let me know what you guys thought of it. You've seen it. I'm curious to hear. And thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Dave's Takes.